All right. I am live. So for anybody, hey Christy, you're like the first one here, or at least the first one speaking up. Excuse me. I'm eating a quinoa burger right now, and it's actually pretty good. Like it's a quinoa burger with a bunch of veggies shoved on top of it. I'm gonna take a bite because I literally have about 50 minutes before I need to be at work, and I'm like 2 blocks, so all I have to do is turn around and drive in when it's time for me to be at work. I just want to make sure everything is working on YouTube because I'm using StreamYard right now. All right, looks like it is. Gosh, my hair. I have that weird lock in the back that just kind of sits up. It looks kind of funny. All right, I'm going to try not to be rude. Yes, I'm back. Okay. What is that echo? That's weird. All right. I'm letting people kind of log in here. This is one of those streams that can't run long because I have to be at work. What is that echo? There's an echo here. I don't know. See. There we go. Hello. So weird. I'm giving it a couple minutes just so people can kind of log in, say what's up. I see James is in here. What's up, my man? I see Dez. How are you doing, Dez? You were looking so good last update I saw from you. Um, all right. People are kind of rolling in. Yeah, I'm eating this quinoa burger. So I don't know how many people keep track of my community page, but on my community page, I posted about a fitness YouTuber who goes by Frumpy Fit. And actually, she is now my weight loss coach. So I've hired Frumpy Fit. She does have credentials. And we had our first check-in today. And what's crazy is the first thing she gave me permission to do based on what I told her about what I was eating was permission to eat more. Now she wants to make sure I'm getting enough protein, and I already knew that was an issue. Excuse me. So a big thing I'm working on this week is getting more protein and allowing myself a few more calories. And we're just going to look at the results at the end of the week, and then she'll decide if she needs to adjust up or down based on that. But it's interesting to hire a weight loss coach, someone who's known on YouTube as a fitness influencer sort of, and have the first thing they have you do is eat more, not less. And I know that's a good thing. Like in my head, I know she's following the right science, and her reasoning for it is absolutely sound, but it's just not what you think of when you think of like hiring a coach for weight loss. Where is it? That lock is getting on my nerves. Nope, that's not the one. Where is it? It's this one. It's this one. It's so weird. All right, so let's talk about the van. I'm just checking in on the comments section. Let me just talk. And like I said, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to be swift about this and go to work. So I just had it planned today that I was gonna do this earlier, and then life got interrupted and it didn't happen earlier. But I know it kind of came out of nowhere for some people. I had already been talking about on Patreon that I was thinking about selling my van. And so I had a few discussions on Patreon and YouTube memberships about it. a lot of the discussion happened on Patreon, but I posted the information on both of those platforms earlier. And it's not because I'm trying to like prioritize people. Honestly, it's just a smaller group of people. So when I'm thinking about a big decision, it's really nice to have that smaller group of people who want to support you and give information, as opposed to YouTube, which could be everywhere and anyone. And so it was nice to bring it over there first and just kind of sort of throw my thoughts into the air. And the general reason most people convert from a non-standing van to a standing van is they just want to stand up. And it's just a simple thing of course I want to stand up in my house. Honestly, if I was just traveling and camping, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Like, the fact that this is low roof is not a deal breaker. There is enough room in here for me to sleep, for me to make food. The current design, which was the one that happened while I was staying, on Jason Crocker's land, is absolutely functional, except in one thing. And that's, I can't exercise in this space, which is why I started this video talking about the fact that I hired a weight loss coach. And I know some people have hated that content. Like, they really aren't into that content. They feel like it's not van life content, but the van is just what I live in. And I want what I live in to serve me. And so when I just needed shelter, I moved into the car, because it was the thing I could get that was available to me. And so I was in my car, but I knew it wasn't long term. I wasn't going to tear that thing up. I wasn't going to start pulling out seats and trying to make a micro camper, because I was never 100% committed to that car or being in that car long term. And I wanted a bed. So when I needed a bed, I got the minivan, and so I got the minivan, and I was comfortable in that minivan for almost 2 years. Like, most of my van life up to this point has been spent living in a minivan, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I still get happy when I see Toyota Siennas, because I think they are like the best thing in the world. They are very loyal machines. Like, I loved that Sienna, but there did reach a point where I knew I needed more space, and I got lucky in that I had started to investigate possible ways. After I had the minivan paid off, I was already very much spending a lot of time looking for something else. And when you start looking for another home, to me, that's a signal that it's time to move on. And I know some people live in their homes like really, really long term. There are people who the first rig they ever got, they're still in 5 years later. And there are people who change rigs like every 2 years. And the same thing is true in house life. Like, some people are in a house for generations, and some people, they're in this one house, and then like their family grows and it doesn't quite work for them, or they have reasons to move on. I feel like if I had never gotten this van, I never would have got Mickey. And so I'm absolutely, happy if I had gone to Baltimore in a minivan, I wouldn't have felt comfortable getting a pet. I just wouldn't have felt comfortable with the amount of space I had to have a pet. And what this gave me is the chance to have a companion I've wanted for a long time. I've wanted an animal companion for a very long time, but I always wanted to be responsible about it. I wanted to be absolutely sure whatever animal I brought into my space, I had the facilities, the time, and the space to care for them properly. And I didn't feel like I had that with the minivan. And one of the reasons, when I was looking for a pet, I actually did go to meet a puppy. And when I thought about how big that puppy was going to get and that puppy's needs, I knew I was not the right match for that puppy. But when I got Mickey, I felt fairly confident that I could take care of him properly, give him the proper amount of space, give him what he needed. But now I'm turning things back on me. Like, Mickey's good. Mickey's good in his life. He's chilling. He's a van life cat. And as I start to think more about me and continuing my health journey, I want a space where I know I can stand up and do a dumbbell exercise in my van. I'm not driving around for 3 hours or 2 hours and get into a park and it's not quite the right space, and like trying to find these public places to exercise, especially something as simple as a standing dumbbell routine. Like, I just want the space to do that in my own space, whether I can find a park or not. And I think it's a simple thing to want that. It's really, really simple to want that. So when people are like, oh, I guess you want a new van because you want to stand up, it's true, but it's not that simple. It's much more complicated than that. And so I didn't want to just say, oh, of course, I want a standing height vehicle because I just want to stand up. It's not that. It's like, I want to know I could stand up, drop to the ground, do like a push-up or a burpee or whatever, stand back up and not hit my head. This is about as far as I can get in this van. Wooka, wooka, wooka. And so I want that. Now, there would have been an option just to add a topper to this van, but there really is not enough floor space in here for what I'm hoping to create. And so I'm not looking at Sprinter vans either. I'm not looking at ProMasters, and I am not looking at Ford Transits. I want none of those things. None of those things are on my list. First of all, most of them are too darn expensive, and I'm going to need money to convert whatever vehicle I get after I get it. So I'm absolutely not looking in that category. I'm not looking at something brand new, because honestly, it is just beyond what I can afford right now. Even if I sell this van, at most, if I was even approved for a loan, which I probably wouldn't be, maybe I'd have a down payment. Like, those are not in my headlights. It's not what I'm looking for. So what does that leave me with if I want to stand up? Well, there's about 4 options that I consider high options. One is a small box truck, not a massive one. Definitely something that you could rent as like a regular person from like U-Haul or Penske. And sorry, guys, I'm just going to rattle this off. Keep going in the comments. I'm going to circle back around to those in a second. So like, one of my top options is a box truck, a smaller box truck. Yeah, that's sort of where I am for that. I just saw the super chat, Maria. Thank you for the $5 super chat. So I'm very interested in those. Now, if I get a box truck, there are considerations. A lot of those I might have to create my own pass-through. I would probably want to add windows, but I've watched a lot of videos on those and it's not impossible. I would want to add those things if I got a box truck, because they are very closed off spaces unless you get one that already has windows and doors, because sometimes people do have those as like mobile, like office type setups as well. So top of my list is a box truck, just because I think like it will provide the space for what I personally am trying to create. And you can get them small enough that they still fit in about the same parking spaces as a very long van would fit. They're almost in the same size category as ambulances. Some of them are a little bit bigger than ambulances, but that's pretty high on my list. Another option is a step van. For people who don't know what a step van is, usually what you see UPS drivers driving or FedEx drivers driving, those are for the most part step vans. And I'm talking about those very like rectangular vans that you see driving in the neighborhood. If anybody follows Paul Berger on YouTube, he's the bread trucker. His bread truck is a step van. Snap-on also sometimes sells their retired trucks, but the general name of that type of vehicle is a step van. So that's another option. And what I like about both the box truck and the step van is that they are square. So they are very easy to build in. They don't have a lot of weird corners, and they're both standing height vehicles. So those two are very high on my list. The other obvious option is a shuttle bus. It takes a lot of savvy shopping to find them. But a shuttle bus is obviously an option that is also standable. And I still feel like, designed the right way, all three of those options still work in the city. Now, you're not going to go do a lot of neighborhood parking in them, but if you know where the industrial streets are, I park in those in this van. So I already feel like I have a good feeler for how to park those vehicles if I get one of those. And then also on the maybe of my list is ambulance. Now, I know traditionally when we think about ambulances, we think about the ones that look like box trucks, which have like a normal cab and then usually a box on the back. But there are a lot of variations in ambulances. There's even ambulances made out of vans that look like this, except with a raised top. So that's also like, that's the bottom of my maybe list. So as far as the vehicles I'm looking for, those are pretty much the top four: a box truck, a step van, a shuttle bus, obviously a shorty, or maybe an ambulance. There's a lot of advantages to ambulances, but some of those are kind of small too. And what I notice, especially in a lot of the what I like to call the popular van builds, which we're talking about our transits, our sprinters, our ProMasters, is by the time people put in a lot of cabinetry, you lose a lot of floor space. Like, you can stand up, but there's just like an aisle you're walking down and you can get to your bed. There's still not a lot of movable space in there. It will require some negotiating about learning how to drive any of those vehicles in that category, but I feel like I had to make a lot of adjustments to get comfortable driving this. And every choice you make to change your rig changes sort of how you have to think about parking, how you think about your living in it. Like, not all choices are created equal. Like, if you're in a car, you have a lot of flexibility about being any damn where, but it's a car, it's small, there's only so much you can do with the inside of it. Now, for its size, its gas mileage, like all these things, it has a lot of advantages in that category, and really you just have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of any choice. I'm going to get my charger because my laptop's going to die. Let's see. Let's get plugged in, baby. I don't want this laptop to die. All right. So now I'm all plugged in. So that's sort of where my mind is. I want agency over my ability to continue my fitness journey while not losing my life and options as a nomad. And I can't do that as efficiently in the vehicle I'm in right now. Like, what was working is no longer working. And it's getting frustrating. And I thought I had a solution with the tent. And yes, the tent got destroyed, but that wasn't because I can always buy another tent. But for the next, few months, I'm going to be working for this theater company on and off. And if I'm working for this theater company on and off, that means I'm going to have to stay very close to the city while that is happening. So I need a vehicle that provides me a good balance between the two phases that I get to be in, which is when I'm working for the theater company, I need to be in the city. I don't want that to change how I'm pursuing my fitness journey. And obviously, when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I can do whatever the heck I want. I can pinch a tent. I can have an outside space. But I can't do that in the city. I mean, I could. There's plenty of tents on the streets of Berkeley. But let's say that that's not quite, what I'm looking for. No offense to them. Obviously, I'm having a little bit of a dark joke about that. But hopefully I don't get canceled now. So really, yes, I want to stand up, but I don't want to stand up for the sake of standing up. The most basic functions of what a camper has to be, this van is perfect for it. Like it is absolutely perfect. There's literally one thing I can't do in this van, and that's use it when I want to do home exercise. Like, I can't do that within the doors of the van in situations where it would be the smartest choice, the safest choice. Also, like, when I was absolutely efficient at exercise. Oh, Liz, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Hopefully I haven't missed any. I just saw the color pop up at the corner of my eye. But when I was most efficient with exercise, it was the first thing I did when I woke up. Well, if I wake up and it's dark outside, I can't go outside right away. So even if I wanted to exercise, even if I'm like, all right, first thing I do when I get up, I'm gonna like, do my weightlifting routine. I can't. I'm sitting on the bed, literally waiting for the sun to come up. And I don't want that limitation in something I'm trying to do to improve my long-term health. And if I think of all the things I've gained back over time, the one thing I haven't is sort of having, the ability to have my home gym actually in my home, not driving my home around to a public park to turn that into my gym. And hoping I can find a space that I can steal for a while. And I'm going to keep doing that because I need to do that. But I want to create a situation where that isn't a necessity. It's more like a treat. Oh, it's a treat I'm going out to a park to take a walk. Oh, it's a treat that I'm going on a hike. Because right now it's just that franticness of wanting to check this very simple activity off my list and move on with my day. And my home is literally in the way of that happening. So it's not as simple as I want to stand up. It's like I need to stand up or be able to stand up in my home to do the things that I want to do without taking away my nomad life still existing, because that is still who I want to be. When I am not working, I want to be seeing places that I never saw before. So that was a lot of spiel. Sorry, I didn't pay 100% to the comments while I was scrolling through. So I'm gonna go back and kind of look and see what people are saying. Hopefully nothing got deleted, because it looks like things are happening. Van life adventures. You say my hormones are out of control. Weights in to help us, and exercise will not help you lose weight. Only I used to be 321 pounds and now I'm 260 pounds. So I'm actually losing weight 100% within the CDC recommendations. Like 100% within the healthy recommendations by the Centers for Disease Control. I am losing weight at that exact rate. I mean, I have some ups and downs, but if you do the math, it's exactly in the healthy recommendation for weight loss. I don't want to go too far on that topic. There's a reason I moved all that stuff over. I only started talking about the fact that I'd hired a coach because it was relevant to my choice to change vans, but I'm not going to go too deep down into that topic. There's a specific reason I started moving that content over to another channel because I want to stay on the channel to stay about van life. Now that stuff is going to come up, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. But like, as far as it's not helping me lose weight, it is. Literally everything I've done for the past 8 months has helped me lose weight. That's why I've lost weight. like, Hot Rod PC 66 says a 15-foot van from U-Haul or Penske. Both of those are on my list. D Huffman, thank you so much for thanking people for me while I was ringing. D, you're a rock star. D Huffman, you are a rock star. Thank you for looking out in the chat. Lisa says, I definitely would want a van I can stand up and stretch. It's good for our posture and very convenient not to have to go out of the van all the time to stand up. Lisa, I agree. But I also think in a situation where you're traveling all the time and you're in spaces where you're allowed, quote unquote, to camp, it's way easier not to have a standing vehicle. Because you're not worried about like somebody calling the cops on you because they saw some weirdo come out of their van. Like when you're at a campsite, opening your door and going outside isn't that big of a deal. You can go out, holding your cup of coffee with your flip-flops on, weather pending, and people don't think that's weird. You do that exact same behavior in the city, and people are like, there's a homeless person in my neighborhood. So I think there are situations where people can live very long term in a short roof vehicle. And when I was working like a regular, I'm going to work every day job, literally when I went back to the minivan at that point, all I did was make dinner and go to bed. And then I got up in the morning and I had to get out the van, and I was out of the van for like 8 hours of the day before I came back to the van at night. So I think like, yes and no. Like if all you're doing all day, which is definitely the case right now, especially because of the change with COVID, when all you're doing all day is hiding in your van that you can't stand up in, I think that's when it's become a problem. So it's really a question of what's going on in your life. If you have a billion opportunities to get out of your van, and it's comfortable to do so, a low roof van is not the end of the world. Even though I think everybody, obviously will want something they can stand up in eventually. It just happens at different rates for different people, depending on their situation. And I don't think there's one answer. Jessica Pabone, am I saying your name right? I'm loving all the excitement about the box truck. I've always loved box truck builds. Like I've been watching those for like at least a year and a half. So I've always been fascinated with box truck builds. They're usually box truck builds are some of my favorites. Lindsay I'm not going to say your last name, Lindsay. It says a few months ago, I actually sold a converted box truck. Rock on. I wish I was in the market at that point and we could have talked. Pink Love mentioned an old ambulance has windows, and there was no completion of that sentence. Here's my thought on windows. There's a lot of minds of thought on windows. Stealth is easier without windows. Windows become a concern when it comes to stealth. So the more you have to worry about covering up, the more you have to worry about light bleed. Windows also, while they're beautiful, I love windows. Windows are beautiful in beautiful environments, but they also create more challenges for temperature control, because usually the glass isn't as insulating as your wall, sometimes with insulation and stuff behind it. But you can always add a window to a vehicle without windows. If you feel like you have too many windows in your vehicle, all you can really do a lot of times is block them off. So I feel like it's easier to add windows to something without windows and have 100% control about where they are than remove or block windows. Because the window is always there, so you're always working against the existence of the window. But when the window's not there, you can add them at the exact presence that you want them. So that's just my mixed feelings on windows. Yeah. Deplorable Island Girl says sucks on gas though. Yes, every time you make a decision, you have to decide how important that is for you. And so there is no perfect vehicle. If your only concern is gas mileage, you can get a Prius if you can live out of it. And there are better choices for gas mileage if you're talking about standing height vehicles, but that's not my highest priority. I've been broke and figured out gas. I will always figure out gas. I care about floor space and space in general more than gas. I'll figure out the gas part. If I have to travel less, I'll travel less. If I have to travel more, or if I have the opportunity and the funds to travel more, I'll travel more. But whatever the situation, I want a home that's serving me. And so gas mileage is not at the top of my list as a priority, because you can always travel less, or not travel as far. Like gas is a controllable expense, but you can't make a place you can't stand up in a place you can stand up in. You can't make a place that doesn't have enough floor space have enough floor space. And I keep talking about floor space because that's my priority. I want a very open build space. And I've literally already made a budget sheet. Like if this thing sells, I already have a budget sheet. I already started sketching out my plans. Like I have 100% vision of what I want. Honestly, if this van sold tomorrow, I've been doing so much window shopping online. I already know what I would buy. Like if this van sold tomorrow, I already know what I would buy. I already have it picked out, but it might sell before my van sells, and then I'll have to pick something else. Adventure Van Man just bought a 10-foot box truck. Awesome. Carol is mentioning up the schoolie, which I talked about. CB said step vans are dangerous. Cool. I'm reading comments right now, so if I get quiet, I'm just reading comments, and I know some of these are coming through. I see comments on the box truck. I see comments on the bread truck. Lori says, would a box truck be difficult to drive in the places you like to go to? Well, ideally, the places I like to go to can fit an RV. And a box truck to me is basically in the Class C RV category. Now, the places I have to be, not so much the places I want to go to, but the places I have to be, most of them have small trucks. I'm not talking about getting like a massive, like 20-foot industrial size, like box truck, because there are times I end up on small streets. But if we're talking about something in the U-Haul category, for lack of a better comparison, like people buy those and drive them down regular streets. So that is it can do it. Now there may be times where I'm like, I'm not going down this street, but in my vision for my future, that's what I want to be moving away from. I want to have the option to go out to Arizona for like a month and come back when I feel like it. So that's sort of the future I'm moving toward. And so I'm making my plans around projecting that I actually am going to reach that future. So yes, because every single day, and most times you don't pay attention to it, there's box trucks driving down the street right beside your cars. There's step vans. There's all kinds of industrial trucks that aren't like the massive trucks. There's all types of trucks and large vans driving beside you on the street every day. So those vans are built to drive in the city. Moving truck companies exist. they have box trucks way bigger than what I'm thinking about getting. So yeah. Audrey mentioned it would be cheaper to convert the van I have with a high top. I've talked about why that doesn't make sense. The floor space in a box truck or even a step van is completely different than the floor space in the van. So it's not just height. It's also floor space with the ability to still have a kitchen, still have a bed. So yeah. G Huffman, I gotta thank you again for being on the comments because I was not not on them. I see mentions of a CDL and becoming a truck driver. I don't really like driving. I like getting from point A to point B and the freedom to go where I want. But actual driving, let alone driving with a commitment to somebody else, let alone driving something as big as like a truck, nah, bro. Like I'm nervous about getting the box truck. I'm gonna figure it out because I feel like it's what I need. But there's no way I could drive like a truck as a job. Like that. I would be way too stressed. It would scare me so much. Jessica says ambulances are super expensive. That's not necessarily true. Like a lot of things, especially with used industrial vehicles, It's where you look, it's how long you're willing to look, and how many compromises you're willing to make. And this is not just for me. Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to drop this in 5 minutes, but I'm just gonna say where you look, how you look, that will have a big impact on price, because a lot of these vehicles are old, but because conversions are so popular, some people are aware of that and they're feeding that into the price. Because people have gotten ambulances super cheap and people have gotten ambulances super expensive. So it's a little bit of both. Um, Benson Speed Shop. I I have an email address. That's good to know. Okay. Um, I am interested in Benson Speed Shop. um, so I do only have 4 minutes, unfortunately, because I have to work. But I'm gonna try to scroll through these comments, and like, if I see anything that's a question, I'm gonna jump on that. Um, People were asking about a schoolie, but I think that's before I got to it in what I was discussing. Um, Pixie Perfect, just a comment on the access between the cab and the back. Lots of people have built their own pass-throughs, so you can't, even if you get a box truck without a pass-through, you can build it. It's really not that hard. You just literally cut a hole, and if there's a gap, you can use accordion. I forgot. You can buy this accordion stuff. It's really, really cheap, and you just need to attach it to both ends. So building a pass-through, even if the box truck doesn't come with it, actually isn't that hard. It's actually probably one of the easier tasks on my list if I convert a box truck. Um, Liz, I just wanted to say your name because I saw you in the comments. Um, uh, oh, I should answer this question. So Hat Creek Homestead asked if I was coming to the meetup in May. Unfortunately, no, because I will be working then. I'll actually be working on a musical. So I compared that date to my schedule a long time ago, and I forgot to say it in any other forum, but I'm definitely not coming to the meetup in May because I'll be working. And I need that money, especially if I end up with a new vehicle, because shoot, I gotta wrap this up, unfortunately. So if I get a new vehicle, I'm selling this van with the solar system, with the refrigerator, with the new stove I bought, everything that makes it a camper, that makes it more valuable, I'm selling with this van. As a couple people know, I have the Iceco fridge I just reviewed, and I have my 2 Jackeries. And I plan to move into my box truck with just that and do the basics of what I need to live out of it. Then as I'm living in it, and I'm assuming it's going to be a box truck because honestly, that's my top choice, even though I'm looking at the other 3 options I talked about. And then my plan is to build it out slowly as I have the money. But I plan to move in it with like some plastic furniture, um, possibly a camping cot, my 2 Jackeries, and my new fridge. And I'll definitely need to buy a solar panel or 2 to throw on the roof to charge the Jackeries. And that's it, because that's all I'll be able to afford initially. And then as I live in it, I want to work on converting it because I've never had a blank slate. You know, I was in a car that I knew I couldn't do too much to. I was in a minivan that I didn't fully strip out. I only did enough to get by. And as I could, I added some stuff and I did more extreme renovations and smaller renovations, but I never fully gutted it. and really got to build up from like nothing. And that's another reason I have misgivings about a shuttle bus. If you get a bus, there's so much to take out of it before you even start building, which is why it's not really high on my list. What I like about getting something blank, like a box truck, is it's just ready to build in. There's nothing to take out or rip out or anything like that. And that's just easier. And then with this van, it's also a passenger van. So basically there's no, whatever insulation is up in here is the insulation that was in it as a passenger van. All this lighting that doesn't work unless the van's on was already in the van. I installed this stuff, but like the ceiling lights that are in here only work when the van is on, which means they're never on anyway. And so I'm valuing the idea that even though I might have to do it slowly and while I'm living in it and piece by piece, I will actually get to build something from the ground up and not build off of something that I have no choice but to work with. So that's another big dream of my future. All right, I've been watching the clock. I'm sorry about any comments I didn't get to, but I really do need to get to work because I do need the money. I'm also enjoying it. I am really good at avoiding people. I'm an introvert. I don't mind being by myself all the time. Like people are like, you're on YouTube, but yeah, I'm sitting like alone in my van talking to a camera. And I know you guys are there and I'm interacting with you, but there's not like 30 people in a room with me. It's just me and my van. So I'm very good at being by myself. But I will say my first day being back at work with Oakland Theater Project, who has people I love and adore, it felt really good to be around people I like again. And I forgot what that was like. And so that's kind of been awesome. So it's not feeling like, oh, I'm at work, it sucks. It's actually been really good. It's just a negotiation of being in the city again. I saw some super chats pop up. So, went too fast. I want to do some thank yous real quick for the super chats, if I can find them. Oh, shoot, guys. Val Edwards, Novel Culture, what's up? Val Edwards, thank you for the $20 super chat. Your build is looking great, Novel Culture. Novel Culture has a new sprinter, so if you haven't been to their channel, NOVELKULTURE, check that out. Also follow them on Instagram. Their build is looking amazing. I'm scrolling. I think I missed a super chat. Oh my gosh. And I'm on StreamYard, so it's a little harder to catch them. Spicy Copper, thank you for the Copper. I think I said your last name right. Thank you for the super chat. James Gibbons, thank you for the super chat. Des, I saw somebody mention Des. Des was in the chat. I hope Des is feeling better. Like, you've not looked good when I've seen you on social media. Okay, I have to run. You're right, Jen. All right, bye, guys. Thanks for listening to me. Sorry this had to be a rushed one. Gotta go to work. I'll talk to you guys later.